My family forgot to invite me to my grandparents' funeral, but they are convinced I was there. I'm 30s F and caused a major blow-up in my family, and now none of them are talking to me. For background, my hometown is tiny, and when I went 2 hours away to the city for college, I loved it. I ended up staying after graduation, got married, and am happy here for a decade. I visit my hometown every few weeks or so, call/text my family near daily, and thought we were all good. My family's pretty small. Just my brother, mom, stepdad, dad, stepmom, and an aunt and uncle, mom's siblings, never married, no kids. My mother's grandparents moved to my hometown when I was in high school and were just down the street from us. My family has always been pretty drama-free, aside from my parents' divorce when I was a kid, and we've been happy. The step-parents were blended in perfectly, and we share holidays and celebrations together. We're all super close and just the perfect little group. Ever since I moved away, the topic of when am I moving back is constant, and I've always laughed it off. My hometown has nothing. You have to drive 30 minutes for milk and bread. 60 to 90-minute one-way commutes to work. And floods shut down the main road every Easter. I love the town, but I love here more. I have parks, stores, community events, a library. The city is great. My family grumbles that I need to move back, but I refuse. I've been trying to encourage them to come here, especially since it's not an hour drive to the nearest medical facility. Now to the meat and potatoes. Both my grandparents passed over COVID times. They were both old and their health had been failing for a while, so it was only a matter of time. Thankfully they didn't catch it, but it made visiting them impossible, and we survived mostly through FaceTime. They both passed in their sleep months apart. Both were cremated and kept securely under the kitchen sink for safekeeping while the pandemic blew over. That was 2021. Well, I just found out my family held a funeral for them and scattered the ashes in my uncle's maple grove over the summer. No one said a word to me about it. I've visited numerous times before and after and not one word. I only found out because my great-uncle from California posted on Facebook a few weeks ago that he is entering hospice and was so thankful his health stayed strong enough for him to see his little sister, my grandma, to her final resting place. I was confused and called my mom. She was all, "Yeah, the funeral we had in July, remember?" Y'all, I visited them for the 4th of July. They did the funeral, the 8th. Not a word about it to me. They had planned this for months. Long enough to arrange for my infirm great-uncle to be brought over from the other side of the country. Apparently, they talked about it all the time. Everyone is convinced I was at the funeral. They swear I was there. I can prove I wasn't because Google's got my location history. My hubby is baffled because he was supposedly there, too, but he had to work every weekend in June and July. Time clock doesn't lie. My family straight up forgot about me. I'm hurt. I'm sad. And they're pissed at me for lying. They think I'm causing drama over nothing. Nothing I say can convince them I wasn't there. My family is united in this. And they've all put me on read until I admit I'm wrong. They think I've gone nuts. Either there's a doppelganger of me attending events, or my family doesn't want to admit they screwed up. I'm not backing down. Thanksgiving is coming up, and my family's been vague posting on Facebook about forgetful kids and mental health. It's so freaking weird, and I don't know if I'm in bizarro world or what's going on. My mom's best friend reached out and said I should just admit I was wrong and apologize, that I'm causing my mom so much unnecessary stress. I asked her if she's checked everyone's home for CO2. She hung up on me. We checked our CO2, and our testers are running just fine. I have reached out to a few people in my hometown to check in on my folks, and they all say they're fine. I even spoke with the local volunteer firefighter group to see if they could check for gas leaks. Not sure if they were able to. I don't know what to do. I've shown them the proof I wasn't there, but they know I'm tech savvy and just assume I've photoshopped it. Hubby says we need a break, and we're going to be staying home this holiday season. Update 1. Not sure how to do updates on posts, so figured I'd post anything on my profile. Folks have private messaged me, and this will be easier I think. It's November 27th and Thanksgiving just happened. Hubby and I stayed home. We got a small turkey and made our own little Thanksgiving. It was nice. We ate around noon, then watched a movie, and later sat outside with a bottle of wine to watch the sun set behind the trees and neighbor houses. We usually take the day before off, drive to my folks, stay the night, and help with the Thanksgiving Day cooking. So it wasn't until Wednesday night that my mom broke the silence. Mom called and asked when I was showing up, and I told her we were staying home this year, but for them to have a happy Thanksgiving, and to give the rest of the family my love. She was quiet for a long time after I said that, and I think she eventually mumbled an okay, or something, and hung up. It wasn't an angry hang-up. Just a hang-up. On Thanksgiving Day, I sent a group Happy Thanksgiving GIF to our family group chat. I received a few Happy Thanksgiving-s back. No one said anything else. There's been no posts on Facebook. Update 2. So, I think I mentioned in one of my comments that my dad and I usually talk on the phone every Sunday morning. We're both early risers, so we'd chat over our morning coffees and watch the sunrise. Him and I haven't really spoken since this all went down, and it's been tough. I'm used to talking to him, you know? Well, I was sitting outside in my usual spot, watching the sun rise and freezing my butt off, and he called me. I'm not entirely sure how to describe the emotions I felt. It was a mix of panic, hope, terror, happiness, and dread. I ended up answering because I just had to know what he wanted. It was an awkward conversation. He didn't address the current drama, but instead tiptoed around the situation with all the grace of a cow on stilts. For instance, a simple, "How are you doing?" type question was answered with a "not good." And the whole conversation would stall out for a bit because he knew why I wasn't doing well. So we ended up talking about the weather, the various winter birds we'd seen in our feeders, and the Christmas decorations around town. Things like that. Eventually he asked if we were coming out for Christmas, and sounded sad when I told him we weren't. He asked if him and stepmom could come visit us instead, and I told him it wasn't a good idea this year. That hubby and I were going to spend a quiet holiday together. I let him know he should be receiving some gifts at his P.O. box any day now, so to please pick them up from the post office and put them under the family tree for everyone. He said he'd ship ours to us as well, and that was pretty much it. No crazy drama to report. The only posts on Facebook have been the usual Christmas excitement ones, countdowns, photos of Santa, silly gift ideas, photos of company Christmas parties. On a personal note, hubby and I are doing alright. Our health is good, our spirits high, and we're as solid as ever. We each got Christmas bonus at our jobs, so we're excited about that. They're not large, but we're happy to have them. We have also done advent calendars for the first time ever. I got him a Lego one, and he got me a hot chocolate one. We're going to do the calendars again next year. Maybe make a tradition out of it. Everyone please have a safe and happy holidays. Update 3. I've received a lot of messages and private DMs urging me to check into inheritance and such. I'm really touched. A lot of internet strangers are worried about me, and I wanted to ensure everyone that inheritance is most likely not an issue here. I'd almost be relieved if it was, because then it would at least make some sense. Money does weird things to people, you know? No one in my family is wealthy by any means. After my grandparents passed, their small estate was used to pay for their end-of-life expenses, and remaining assets split up. Everyone directly related got an equal split, so excluded my dad and the step-parents. I don't remember the exact amount I received, but it was around $5,000 if I recall. My brother gave me his share, too, so I could finish paying off my college debt while the interest freeze was active. The great-uncle from California has kids and grandkids, and great-grandkids of his own, and also isn't wealthy. I think one of his kids makes good money doing something in finance, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't imagine he left us anything, as we hardly knew him. My mom, aunt, and uncle only met him a few times in their lives, and my brother and I even less. Grandma and him were close, but I don't think he liked my grandpa much. Update 4. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. I've received a lot of support through my posts, and I'm really grateful. Writing these updates have had a therapeutic effect. Yesterday was Sunday, but I didn't answer my dad when he called. I just really didn't feel up to a pointless chat, so let it go to voicemail. He tried to reach me a few times throughout the day, but I didn't answer. Our bestie last minute invited us over to his house for Christmas Day lunch today, so husband and I were busy all Christmas Eve making cookies, peanut brittle, and homemade suckers/hard candies for his kids. Mom tried to reach out as well, but I also ignored her calls. We had a blast at lunch. Our friends' kids are a lot of fun to be around. They got some techie presents from their grandparents, Quest VR headset and Steam Decks. Lucky little rascals. Friend and his wife aren't good with tech, while hubby and I are, so we helped get them set up while our friend played a good host to his folks and in-laws. The grandparents didn't realize that a Steam Deck required a Steam account, so we got the kids all their own accounts set up, added them to our Steam friends lists, and gifted them some games. We also bought them a few VR games for their headset, and they were off to the races with Beat Saber in no time. As for my folks, my brother texted and asked if we could talk sometime tomorrow. I think me ignoring mom and dad has caused some kind of upset, which they deserve. Last update, spoke with my brother over the phone this morning. For starters, he apologized for everything. Him and I are good, for now. For a bit of background, my brother and I are only 2 years apart. There weren't a lot of kids around growing up, so the two of us were often stuck doing stuff together. So we have a lot of shared interests and passions. He's been pretty silent on this whole matter, but still part of the group, if you know what I mean. I think the thought of losing him out of my life was probably the most painful, because he's always been there. He was my rock until I met my husband. He's definitely a mama's boy, though, so anything mom wanted, he made sure she got. I'm happy to have him back. Without further ado, here's the story from the horse's mouth. Mom apparently had a cancer scare late last year, which no one told me about, go figure, and dad had a stent put in his heart back in January, which I did know about. This sense of mortality has apparently lit a fire under mom's ass to get me back home. But since I wasn't reacting to her passive-aggressive hinting, she and stepmom decided to go full crazy. My great-uncle's health was bad, and he'd been asking about funeral arrangements for his sister, my grandma, for a while, so the moms decided to plan it. And use the event as a giant middle finger to me. They kept all the planning pretty hush-hush between the two of them, so no one on our side of the family actually knew about the funeral until like 2 weeks before. The moms said they'd invited hubby and I. No one thought anything about it. No one thought to mention, confirm, or check with me. The plan was to scatter the ashes, say a few words, and maybe head to town for lunch. It was a small affair. The moms didn't even tell the family that our great-uncle was coming for it. Like I said, it was a small thing. Barely a footnote. No one thought it was odd because we're pretty chill people. 4th of July happens. Hubby and I are out. No one thought to mention it, as we were all busy celebrating and having a great time. Anytime the topic of this weekend would start, the conversation would be quickly shifted by one of the moms. We went back home. 8th of July happens. Great-uncle rolls into town with a few of his kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids, and it's a surprise to everyone, but the moms. Everyone drives to the Maple Grove and the moms have brought a ton of food and stuff. It's a full-blown party. No one on my side noticed I wasn't there, because there were so many extra faces outside the usual group. They did the spreading of the ashes, they said their words, they ate, they had a great time. It wasn't until our great-uncle left, and all his side left with him, that they realized I wasn't there. And hadn't been there. And this is where the crazy went up a notch. My brother says the moms were happy no one noticed I wasn't there. And that this was proof to everyone that I needed to move back, because I was so easily forgotten about. Because none of them thought to reach out, right? They basically did a ton of guilt-tripping manipulation bullshit, and it made everyone upset at me for not showing up. Somehow it was my fault for being excluded. So suddenly everyone was on their side with sticking it to me. But then a few months went by, and tempers cooled, and then I guess the horror of it set in. Followed by the shame, but by then they were in too deep. How do you undo something like this? And since I hadn't brought it up, I guess they figured they would all just stay quiet about it and hope I never asked about a funeral. That's when I discovered the situation from my great-uncle's Facebook and called my mom, who panicked and went with the stupidest solution, claiming I was there. Don't I remember? I ended up talking with a few friends from high school, mentioning the situation, and word got back to those in town. So suddenly town gossip and little old church ladies got involved. Was I, or wasn't I at the funeral? Did my family forget to invite me to the funeral of the only grandparents I'd ever know? Or am I just causing a ruckus? My brother said they all just went with Mom's answer. Of course they wouldn't forget me. Of course I was there. Of course they're good people. And it just snowballed. The family expected me to eventually fold. I'm usually a non-confrontational person, so me sticking to my guns was unexpected. And then I missed Thanksgiving. And now Christmas. With no sign of backing down. And I guess the realization that I could just stop being part of their lives is setting in, and my parents are panicking. He's tried just getting them to apologize and explain, but stubbornness prevails. They want to rug sweep, but I'm not letting them. My brother is upset with everything that's happened. He's realized just how crappy it all has been, and he wants nothing to do with it anymore. But since he lives with my mom, he can't get away from it. He has asked if he can come stay with us for a little bit. I spoke with hubby, and he's in agreement with me that my brother can come crash in our spare bedroom for as long as he wants. Brother works remotely, so it's no trouble for him to pick up and go. I believe he's making the trip today or tomorrow. Not entirely sure, but I expect crap to hit the fan when he arrives. On a side note, hubby's stoked that my brother and I made up. The two usually game together, but haven't due to the situation. He's downstairs right now, setting up his man cave in preparation for my brother's arrival. I'm happy to see him so excited. Edit. My brother rolled in late last night. He'd obviously been crying, and when I opened the door, he just held me and sobbed. I'd never seen him like that before, and soon both of us were just standing in the doorway, crying into one another. He kept apologizing. Over and over again. Said he wasn't sure why he went with it. Just kept saying sorry. Hubby got him all set up in the spare bedroom while brother and I talked. My brother's a wreck. He's always been a big guy, but he's lost a lot of weight and his clothes just hang off him. If I didn't know better, I'd think he was on drugs. We talked for a little bit before bed and he re-explained everything for my husband. I'd told hubby the story, but it was just so weird that hearing it again helped. This morning, my brother was up at dawn making some coffee and getting his workday going. Hubby's off all week, lucky, so hubby made us working folk some pancakes and bacon. So far everything's peaceful. We've decided not to answer any calls from our family. They've been made aware that he arrived safely, and that we are going to spend the New Year's together, and that we're not answering any calls until January 1st. They may text if they wish. I'm sure they're losing their minds. Serves them right. Everyone, have a safe and happy New Year's. Don't drink and drive.